It always began on the evening of Boxing Day, around 8 o'clock. The last of the relatives, that one stubborn aunt who always outstayed her welcome, has finally been bundled into a taxi, leaving behind nothing but a faint, sweet scent of sherry and a rogue mince pie crumb on the carpet. The house, for the first time in 48 hours, falls into a strange, muffled silence. This was a space that just hours before had been a whirlwind of high-decibel chaos. The sound of ripping paper, the Queen's speech, the collective groan at a terrible cracker joke, the annual family argument over The Great Escape versus The Sound of Music, the roar of laughter from the Morecambe and Wise special. Now, there is only the quiet, electric hum of the refrigerator and the distant, tinny sound of the television, which has been left on, but which nobody is really watching. You look around the living room. It's a festive battlefield, a casualty zone of celebration. A mountain of scrunched-up wrapping paper sits waiting in a black bin bag by the door. Redundant, ripped paper hats lie crushed on the sofa cushions. The magnificent Christmas tree, which seemed so impossibly magical just yesterday morning, now looks, well, just a bit tired, a bit done. The tinsel seems to have lost its sparkle. The adrenaline is gone. The glorious, sugar-fueled, chaotic climax of Christmas Day is over. And in its place, a new feeling creeps in. A strange, listless, heavy sensation. A feeling of profound nothingness. Welcome to the Twixmas Slump. Ah, yes. That forgotten, formless void between the 26th of December and the 1st of January. That strange, unmarked territory on the calendar where time itself seemed to dissolve, stretching and pulling like warm toffee. We call it Twixmas now, but in the 1980s, it didn't really have a name. It was just the week after. A beige-coloured limbo land, fueled entirely by leftovers, chocolate oranges, and television repeats. In the 1980s, this wasn't just a holiday period. Oh no, it was a collective post-indulgence coma. And for the kids of the 80s, with no internet to scroll, no streaming services to binge, and no digital world to escape into, this week was something else entirely. It was an endurance test, a marathon of patience, punctuated by moments of culinary desperation and profound, earth-shattering boredom. It was a test of survival, and it all began not with a bang, but with a quiet, collective sigh and the slow, ceremonial creak of the fridge door opening on the morning of December 27th. The morning of December 27th. The house is still. You wake up late, around 10, which feels scandalous. You wander downstairs, not entirely sure what day of the week it is. It could be Tuesday, it could be Saturday, it simply is.
The normal rules of life are suspended. Breakfast, for instance, is no longer a civilized affair involving toast or cereal. Breakfast is now a random handful of Quality Street from the giant tin on the coffee table. And this brings us to the first great investigation of the Twixmas period, the politics of the chocolate tin. You see, the hierarchy of the tin had already been firmly established on Christmas Day. By the 27th, we were living in the aftermath. You'd lift that heavy embossed lid, the whoosh of escaping air, the sweet plasticky smell, and you'd be confronted by a landscape of rejection. All the A-list celebrities were gone. The purple one, with its hazelnut and caramel, vanished. The green triangle, a distant memory. The little orange cremes, wrapped in their crackly foil, eaten by Nan because she was the only one who liked them. What remained was the B-list, the understudies, a sea of those hard toffee pennies that threatened to pull your fillings out. The strawberry creme, which was always just a bit too sweet, and the ultimate symbol of Twixmas desperation, the coconut eclair. That sad blue wrappered sweet that nobody ever actively chose. It was the culinary equivalent of the last kid picked for the football team. And yet, you'd eat it. You'd eat it because it was there, and because opening an actual bar of chocolate felt like too much effort. But the chocolate tin was merely the opening act. The main event, the true centerpiece of the slump, was the refrigerator itself. Opening the fridge door on December 27th was not a casual glance for milk. It was a full-blown archaeological expedition. You'd pull the heavy door open, and a blast of cold, condensed air would hit you in the face, carrying a complex bouquet of aromas. Cold gravy, citrus, brandy butter, and, is that cooked cabbage? The inside was a masterpiece of Tetris-like storage, a chaotic, silver-foiled landscape of leftovers. There, on the top shelf, was the trifle, now half-excavated, looking like a geological cross-section of custard, jelly, and rapidly deflating cream. Beside it, a small, suspicious-looking bowl of bread sauce, which had now solidified into a single, pale, glutinous mass. There was the cheese board, now just a few sad, dried-out scraps of cheddar, and a very lonely-looking wedge of Stilton, sweating slightly, in its plastic wrap. And then there was the bird.
The remains of the turkey. It sat in the center of the fridge, a vast skeletal carcass draped in foil, like a Roman ruin. It loomed over everything, a silent, edible monument to the feast that had passed. It was no longer a symbol of celebration. It was a challenge, a responsibility, a problem to be solved. For the first 24 hours, this was a golden age, the honeymoon period of the leftover. Nothing in this world tastes as good as that first cold turkey sandwich on the evening of Boxing Day. Sliced white bread, a slathering of real butter, thick cut meat, none of that processed rubbish, a layer of stuffing, and a generous dollop of cranberry sauce. It was, and remains, a sandwich of the gods. The morning of the 27th brought its own masterpiece, Bubble and Squeak, a glorious, greasy, sizzling fry-up of leftover potatoes, sprouts, carrots and parsnips, all mashed together and fried until crispy. It was the ultimate comfort food, a warm, savoury hug on a grey morning. But the honeymoon was brief. By the evening of the 27th, you're having cold turkey, this time with leftover roast potatoes, which never reheat properly, and a boat of gravy that's been microwaved into submission. It's fine. It's food. By the 28th, the mood has shifted. The turkey is still there. It's still taking up half the fridge. The family looks at it, and the turkey looks back. Its optimism now replaced with a sense of quiet judgment. Mum, ever the pragmatist, now enters phase 2 of the operation. You start seeing turkey in places it was never meant to be. Turkey vol au vent, a turkey salad bulked out with a tin of sweet corn. And then, on the 29th, it happens. The inevitable. The final act. You walk into the kitchen and you smell something that is both familiar and deeply, deeply wrong. A warm, dusty, slightly sweet smell that does not belong in a British kitchen in December. It's the smell of Vesta curry powder. Mum has done it. She has declared the official spicy death of the festive bird. She has made the turkey curry. It was a culinary inevitability, a dish born not of inspiration, but of sheer pragmatic desperation. Great dry chunks of leftover breast meat suspended in a luminous yellow-brown sauce, bulked out with any remaining sprouts, perhaps a few lonely carrots, and maybe even a stray roast potato, all diced into anonymity.
It was edible, sometimes it was even quite nice, but more than that, it was a ritual. It was the final spicy funeral procession for the Christmas feast. It was the closing of a chapter.